Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Badger Pack Sports. Going to be doing a 3-round Packer mock draft today. Excited for that. Joined, as always, by my co-host, Justin Legal. Justin, how's it going?
Version 3.0 today, 3
Yep.
rounds, Packers mock draft. We are 2.5 weeks from draft time. How
Yeah.
freaking crazy is that? Like, I feel like we blink our
Oh,
eyes. Draft season seemed 3 months away, and now in 2.5 short weeks, you and I going to
yep.
be at the shadows of Lambeau, hearing Brian Gutekunst call our name at pick 23 and see what
Yep.
we're going to do.
Potentially pick 23. Potentially.
Well, we'll see.
Because
Hey,
there could be trades, we can't just say 23. You never know.
we
But
never know.
obviously, we'll be using Pro Football Focus today, just a 3-round mock draft, the cheap draft, because we're not spending money on it yet. So no trades for us. So we'll be
When we're
picking at 23.
when we're big time, with thousands of you faithful subscribers,
Yeah,
we'll get the paid version. Please please subscribe before we do this. We do this not because we want to be right. We do this because we're fans. We think this
yeah,
is fun. Doing mock drafts is something that I've loved doing for the last how many years, and just to see the different combinations, who we can pick, the
yep,
buzz, who's fallen, who's rising,
yep.
pre-draft visits. It's a lot of fun. I know you and
I
I nerd
can't
out on
say
this.
Justin is feeling spicy today, so we'll see see how this one goes.
We'll see. So yeah, like Robbie said, we're gonna do Packers here at 23,
Yep,
3 rounds, no trades. We'll dive in and see how the board shakes
yep.
out, and we'll pick at 23 when it's time.
I will say though, if there's a fan from another team though that's like, hey, can you just do a pick? Maybe we'll do that. So if you just drop your team in the comments, maybe we'll do the Packers and we'll do somebody else. Because I think that could be kind of fun. So if you want to see another team plus the Packers, feel free to throw that team in the comments.
Absolutely, we're a Packers channel first, but we wanted to hear from you guys and build this and get a good community going with other people. So absolutely, but here we are, 23. We got some interesting candidates. We just go
Yep.
up here like we typically do and just look at the picks here. I think we've been hearing Cam Ward at 1's been pretty solidified.
Yep.
Though, if you watched our previous episode on the full 32, I personally
Yeah.
do not think, if I was the Titans, I would do it. But hey, that sounds like where he's going. But any other
Yep.
guys who catch your eye? I mean, pick number 5. Wow.
Yeah. I
Genty
mean,
going 4. Wow, wow, wow.
hey, Genty, yeah, I mean, I could see him having a fall. Like all of a sudden, it's like he's gonna drop. Like everybody's valuing him, but maybe other teams aren't. It's like just because I don't think it's like maybe he just doesn't have the receiving talent as Gibbs. So we'll see.
Yeah, one name sticks out to me here is Ted McMillan at 8. It seemed like there was like a
Yeah,
moment there for a little bit where there was some chat like, oh, he could slip to the late first round, and that's where I was kind of licking my chops. And
yep,
now, this is where I had him mocked for quite a bit, and I know you liked Tyler Warren
yeah,
to Carolina. So
yep,
in this mock, him going to Chicago is something I would hate to see, but I'd be a little
uh,
surprised with Cole Kmet there and what they have in place. Robbie,
yeah,
pick 12.
yeah.
Look who's at pick. Your boy Matthew Golden's already picked.
Matthew Golden.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
I had a Cowboys fan say that that's who they should take, and said, if we didn't take him, we were crazy for that. So I thought that was interesting. My boy Brandon Cooper reaching out to me on that.
Absolutely. And hey, look at 21, Shadur Sanders slipping all the way down to
Yep.
Pittsburgh. Again, this volatility of Shadur, pretty much people saying he was locked in at 2, locked in at 3. Now we saw him
Yeah.
falling out of the first round for some mocks, and now we see him middle of the first. Is kind of interesting too.
Yep.
But hey, pick 23 around the clock. So typically, for those watching, we only have 3 rounds. So I think what we'll do here is, I'll talk about a guy I like. I think Robbie will talk about someone he is into, and we'll kind of make a decision on who we pick. But for me, I Luther Burden on the board. That's my guy. Shout out
Yeah.
to all those guys in the Packer Discord that watch the channel. Thanks for talking to Robbie and I every day. And
Yep.
I know Luther Burden's a very polarizing guy. Some people either love him or hate him. I am in the love him camp, and it's simple. I'm not even going to pull up his measurements. I'm not going to pull up his 40 time, his hand size. The dude just makes plays, and that's all I want. I want playmakers on my team. I want a guy that defenses have to scheme against. They have to know where he is in the field at all times. And I think that's what you got with Luther Burden. On the smaller end, probably more of a slot guy, but a guy who can return punts, who can turn kicks. He's got, I would say, pretty solid hands. He had some drop issues at times, and his hand size has come into question. But I think his playmaking ability is elite, and he's one of the top receivers on the board in my opinion. So that's one guy that screams to me. Robbie, what do you got here with the names that are available?
Yeah, I mean, we've done Derek Harmon. I think a guy that maybe maybe I want to talk about is Trey Amos. I think that one could be interesting. I think we're still looking for corners. I think the biggest thing you got to talk about there is just the post from Jair Alexander and Xavier McKinney, them kind of hanging out together. So is Jair Alexander back? Like maybe he is, but it's like Trey Amos would definitely be a guy that, you know, just a solid talent. And it's like, it's hard because it's like it's first round. You want to make sure that you get the best guy, but it's like sometimes you just need a solid guy that you think you can commit to and play. You got Siobhan Revel there, see hovering over him. It's like that's definitely the upside one. Like if you're going upside, you probably go Revel. If you want probably the guy who is probably going to be able to at least play decent, you go with Amos there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't hate either one of those picks. James Pierce Jr. continues to slip.
Yep.
That's an interesting name. I think he's a guy that Packers will probably stay away from.
Yeah.
But then as you scroll down here, Jaden Higgins is a name that keeps slowly crawling up the boards. I've been seeing
Yeah.
people talking about him at 23. I like him a lot too. 6'4", 215. He's got great X receiver size. Maybe not the most super athletic guy in the world, but
if they traded back, I think that, and like I said, we don't have the ability to do that. But if they traded back, a few spots, it's like I think that one would definitely be worth considering there.
Yeah,
even me taking Higgins late in the first.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't picking up on the theme, there's really not one guy here that's screaming to Robbie and I, and that's kind of what makes us think trading back would make a lot of sense. The problem too though is that the Packers are seeing this. Other teams are seeing that there's just not a guy screaming at them. You look at a guy like Malachi Starks. If he falls this far with how high ranked he is, there could be a team late first round, early second that might want to make the jump with us, but you have to find a partner to do the trade too. So we'll have to see how that works. But with today's exercise, we talked about this before we jumped on. Yep. I'm taking Luther Burden. We're taking my guy. Give me the playmaker. Give me Luther Burden at 23. I would buy his jersey the night of the draft when we take him.
And I'll hold that to that. There's going if they take him, there will be a picture on Badger Pack Sports YouTube page of the Justin ordering a Luther Burden jersey.
Absolutely. And I know our Packer Discord. Oh my gosh, look who's there at 54. Oh. Whoa. This is like an auto pick.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Robbie. What do you see in here?
Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. I mean, it's like the value's there. I mean, that's calls crazy, but
And obviously hindsight's always 20/20.
You got a guy who can play in the slot. I think he's actually a multi-role receiver in Burden. It's like he's not slot only, but then you get your true X receiver in Higgins. Yeah, lock it in.
And just remember two guys, Dobbs and Watson, last year their contract. If these two guys can hit, I mean, there's an opportunity there where maybe both those guys aren't back if the board falls this way and if Luther Burden's advertising Jaden Higgins. But like this gives me a lot of vibes of last year's draft with the safety room where we just injected the room with talent. I know this is the first 2 rounds, so this would be very crazy. I think you and I, Robbie, would be ecstatic if the board falls this way. So we're, for today's exercise, we're going to jump on this. But Jaden Higgins and Luther Burden, I mean, can you handle the talent? The receiver room will be just elite.
Let's see.
Oh, this is a receiver happy. Trey Harris is sitting there for us.
No, can't do it.
That'd be wild. It's tempting, but yes. Wow. What's up with the receivers falling?
Yeah.
There's your boy DJ Giddens that we've done. I know. Robbie, give us your 2-minute elevator speech on why Packer fans should look at running back in the third round or fourth round.
I have been getting beat up for this for so long, and that it just feels like running back. It's like last year we used the running back a lot. Matt LaFleur has always liked a running back. I think the only reason that Rodgers threw the ball so much is because Rodgers was still calling audibles. But I think it's just we value the run game. You have Josh Jacobs, so we are going to use that talent. You spent the money on him. So it's like you got Marshawn Lloyd last year, but he was hurt. It's like I want to believe in our third round pick, but I can't guarantee it. And I'm all about stacking talent, stacking value, like we just did the receiver room. And you have to keep taking guys almost every year because otherwise you get stuck with somebody and you never want to be in a position where you're stuck. So I
And this
definitely
is a
think it's,
great and this is a great draft for that in the running back room. If you just look
yep.
here, Martinez, Giddens, Neal, different type of backs, but it just shows you the amount of guys that can be here that are solid.
I was going to say, who else is in there if you were to go to running backs?
Yeah, we can do a filter on running backs for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
because
got
I
Jaden
like
Blue.
Blue. I like Jaden Blue out of Texas actually, because he's a speed guy, and so I think that could be a fun one with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate this pick at all.
I'm not saying to pick him, but it would
Yeah,
definitely be interesting.
and he'd probably
Um,
be there in the. I would feel like he'd probably be there in the fourth. Um,
yeah,
in the fourth round. It's just it's. I think it's worth mentioning that I don't think running back the position of the running back shouldn't be written off for the Packers to take in
yeah,
this draft. Um, for me personally, this is another spot yet again, especially if the board falls this way. You know there's going to be teams calling the Packers to take one of these receivers if they're sitting here.
yeah,
Because the fact that, if we didn't pick receivers early on, if Trey Harris was here and we did two corners or a corner and alignment, I would pick Trey
yeah,
Harris all day right here. And I think you'd be with me too, Robbie, on that.
yeah. See, we should
Um,
go on Trey Amos or Siobhan Revel, and we would have been fine, Justin.
right. I mean, who knows? It's a
Uh,
butterfly effect. Maybe we pick them and then the receivers fall off after. So maybe
yeah,
we set, I don't know. It is interesting to see how this is shaken out, and this is a very tricky mock draft. I'm not feeling super strong or convicted on any of these guys here.
yeah. I was
Ooh,
gonna say I'm gonna let you make the pick though because I made the last one.
that's a lot of pressure. Um,
Like I said, I like Blue, but like I said, it's like just because I'm not seeing anything, and it's like
I don't know what
I
we
don't
know
know.
about Dorian Strong at corner.
He's okay, but I don't know.
Yeah,
This one
I'm
hurts
not
because it's like I think
super
it's just not a
excited.
strong corner class.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we just look at corners right now and just see who's there. Yeah, I mean, these are guys that are, Noel Williams, Noel Williams. I know
Yeah,
is being mocked to the Packers a lot, but that's again, if we were doing a 7-round mock, we'd probably get him in the fourth or fifth round.
yeah,
Um, defensive interior is also another position that's deep in this
yeah.
draft. Like a Deion Walker's out there at
I think
6'6",
that I
245.
think
That's
that I was gonna say I think maybe that might be the way to go.
yeah. I mean, he's. I don't know much about the guy, but I can just tell you from looking at
Yeah,
his numbers, he's definitely a run stopper.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Obviously, a lot of hype around him. He was supposed to be projected as a first round pick going into this year, and just the talent didn't necessarily match up. So it's like, but I mean, it's a third round. I think it might be worth going for a boomer bust guy.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at some of his numbers here. Relatively healthy, lots of snaps. 2023 looks like he had full capacity at
Yep.
that size. I mean, honestly, at 350 almost getting 4.8 4.8 sacks, like that's bonus to me. Like
Yep.
that's not bad at all. Just trying to look here. You see laying in the A gap quite a bit, so pretty much interior on the B and A gap. I mean, I think this is a guy, run snaps. He's, out there for run and pass. So it'd be interesting to see how they would leverage in the NFL. But I think, this guy is Deion Walker is definitely intriguing, I would say.
Yep.
So I'm going to make the call. We're going to take him. We're going to beef
Yep.
up the interior.
Yep.
What a draft. What a very interesting,
Yeah.
interesting draft.
Hey, like I said, you were feeling spicy, and I think we spiced it up here.
I'm curious to see how they grade. Yeah, they grade the Jaden Higgins fall to A plus and Luther as an A, and then I mean at pretty much at round 3 and on, it's gonna be a
Yep.
crapshoot. It just the board fell so weird. We almost had no choice. I
Yeah.
mean, but if we recap round 1, this is kind of where all the eyes are going to be. I'm just trying to look here and see, anything that catches my eye. But
Yeah.
the fact that Shador fell to 21 is interesting. And then Kenneth Grant starting to move up boards a little bit. That was a
Yeah.
name we saw quite a bit. And if he was there at 23, I probably would have dove on Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
Because again, I think this is a very strong interior class, and we definitely going to need some help there with Kenny Clark aging and TJ Slayton leaving. But no, Rob, any closing thoughts, feelings from you? Like, where's your head at with this draft? Like, even outside the mock, like, here's the mock that was fun, but like, as you've watched some film, as you've kind of just gotten a feel for the team and how free agency went, like, where are you at? Like, where's your confidence level in this draft?
I think there's actually a decent amount of talent in the back end of the first round into the early second, but it's like it's hard because I think even into the second you got some decent guys, but it does just kind of dry up pretty quick once you get to that third. So that's going to be the biggest thing there. So I don't know. I'm excited. I think the team. It's like we don't have too many holes, but it just seems like we need a defensive lineman, we need a corner, and I think we really need a receiver. And it just seems like defensive line, maybe you'll be able to get a guy there like Walker. We were able to get him in the third. I think that worked out. But I think corner, that's the one that it's like, it seems like there's depth that nobody's great. And that's what really hurts. Like, I think after that second round, I'm not excited about too many people really.
Yeah, and it's like you almost feel like pressure at 23. Do we reach at a corner? You never want to be
Yeah.
the team that reaches for need. And I know the Ted Thompson philosophy is always best player available.
Yep.
It's tend to treat us pretty well. I also wonder if the Packers are feeling the same thing. You talked about the Jair video with McKinney, and it's like you wonder if the Packers are like in the building, like, guys, are we better off just bringing Ja back? He's
Yeah.
gonna be a better short term solution than any of these guys in the draft this year. We try to maximize him out for one more season, and we cut ties with him at the end of this year.
Yep.
I wonder if that's a real possibility now, because maybe how the draft class is looking and the lack of interest in Jair too. Obviously, we didn't get any of the asking price that Goody's wanted in the deal for him too. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
This is a weird, and I guess for me, this is a weird draft. I mean, you go back to last year, like all this hype on the 5 quarterbacks taken early. I feel like this class, it's just like we've talked about this. Like after the first 4 picks, maybe like we really don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, what was it? Wasn't it a record number of offensive players selected in a row last year? So that's like that would have been nice for this year because then we could have gotten a defensive guy, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. It's like
and it's like this draft class is like this weird aura around it. Like it's got like this negative connotation of like, oh, there's just not a lot of top end talent. And I would say it's tough because you're coming off the heels of the draft last year, which was probably one of the more hyped drafts and ever, maybe. Like it's up there for one of the most hyped drafts in the recent memory, at least.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me less excited. I think it actually makes it more interesting because I think there's a chance for a lot of late first round guys to be steals because teams didn't evaluate them a certain way, or the gap was very small between pick 10 and pick 30. For like these guys are just so closely graded on teams' board. So, yeah, man, I'm ready to see how this kind of transpires in 2.5 weeks. It's going to be here before we know it.
Oh yeah, no. Obviously, it's going to be unleash the chaos. I think we already talked about Packers possibly trading, so it's going to be interesting to see what goes on there. But until then, we're going to be kicking out this Packer content. We're going to be doing some more mock drafts, maybe another full 32-team first round mock draft because I think we've been having fun with that. And so just keep tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe to see what content we're coming out with next. See ya.